President Biden goes after revolutionaries. BLM and Antifa steal a ton of money from Seattle. Kari Lake forces Arizona's GOP to basically quit. And the battle of the border. How many of those people we letting across, and why is it happening? What's the legal way we should go about this? All this and more on Self-Evident Podcast. It's exciting.
Exciting. Hello, hello.
Hi, Crikey. Are you guys paying attention, man? Okay, there you are. So, guys, welcome to the Self-Evident Podcast. You got Massey, you got Brother Mike, dog. You got my sons over there somewhere, but they never turn on their camera no more because they're embarrassed. But if you guys have not, go to theselfevidenttruth.com. Subscribe, check out the podcast, all that good stuff. We got some really cool blogs. Everything's very exciting. Also, if you have not become a partner yet of this ministry, you can do that by text to give. We just got a new little graphic over there. So we got a little text to give option going on. You guys can text and that
use
helps.
it, break it in. Let's do it. Game
also,
on.
if you want to buy if you want to be a monthly partner, you can actually do that too by going on to theselfevidenttruth.com and signing up to be a torchbearer. Thank you so much for all of your help, love, and support that keeps this program going and us traveling nationally. You are amazing and awesome, and we love you. How's it going, Mike?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm in the zone, baby.
You are.
I'm
on
in the zone.
You are in media professional mode.
I think it's time for news bits, boys. El Presidente Biden admin goes after revolutionaries. He probably doesn't even know how to spell the word revolutionary, but he's going after them. Six pro-life protesters are going on trial for protesting an abortion facility in Tennessee in 2021. So much for due process and right to a fair and speedy trial.
Who needs that?
Right.
Who needs that these days? This is the modern year. This is 2024.
Yeah.
We don't do that anymore.
For protesting an abortion facility. Apparently that's illegal. They were in a
burning
hallway.
out buildings for a whole summer is not.
That's right. They were in a hallway outside the facility on the second floor of the office building and were praying, singing hymns, and trying to convince women to save their child. 11 people were arrested in the incident. Trials for 4 others have not been set. One flipped by pleading guilty and set to be a federal witness.
Rat.
That's a knack. The Justice Department also argued that they were attempting to stop women from getting reproductive health care.
Bruh.
What a great argument, right?
Wow. And that they violated federal law, which protects women's access to abortion facilities. What federal law again?
Right.
What federal
probably
law?
under the Civil Rights Act, because everything is, or the 14th Amendment.
Which has nothing to do with abortion.
Yeah, no.
Access. Federal law, by the way, which was a court decision, not federal law.
Thank you.
If found guilty, they could face up to 11 years in prison and $250,000 in fines. And we all know how kind the Biden administration is to anybody who doesn't look woke.
This one's going to be fun. And if any other court cases that have happened in the past couple of years is any indication they're going to try to throw the book at these people for standing outside an abortion facility, praying, singing hymns, talking to women, right? And the problem is it's so subjective. Restricting their access to health care. Did they grab a hold of them and stop them? No.
And really, all this is a ploy of trying to overturn the Roe v. Wade.
Right. They'll do anything they can to punish for Roe v. Wade being overturned.
Since it's been overturned, does this even apply anymore?
That's a good question. Probably. Because I do know they try to make arguments under the Civil Rights Act, discrimination and all that. So,
yeah, but
did you know that health care is a right? I had no clue, but health care is a right. It's right there in the Bill of Rights. It's in between the lines.
Signed on the 35th of Neverwary.
Yeah.
Anywho's,
Here we go. BLM and Antifa. Man, they bluff Seattle and they win big. They won against the city. 50 insurrectionists, can we call them that? They are now insurrectionists from BLM and Antifa will receive a massive $10 million settlement.
People who were there to protest the city. People who were there to protest. Good job, boys. People who were there to protest the city, burn down buildings and such. They're getting rewarded while these people trying to just help women save their babies possibly face jail time.
Right. And let's forget the whole Antifa BLM riots where they tried to burn down federal buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These guys were rioting and they were hurt by the police, but they were rioting.
Yeah. One of them got shot by a rubber bullet and like just the description of it. I got shot by a rubber bullet.
Which is what you wanted because you don't want people to carry.
And that's exactly right. The person was standing in front to be a quote-unquote meat shield and had been at all of the previous protests and everything, got shot, and then was like, I got injured.
No, but here's the thing. You wanted rubber bullets so you wouldn't kill anyone, right? They keep, like, they need, you know. You were there to do what? Destroy property?
Right.
So you got hurt by police officers who tried to stop you? I'm sure you were being very cooperative and polite.
Exactly.
You know?
And peacefully protesting. I'm sure it was just a
and the city
mostly
caves.
peaceful protest.
And the city caves.
And this is what the city attorney said was the best financial decision for the city considering risk, cost, and insurance. The case has been a significant drain on the time and resources of the city and would have continued to be so through an estimated 3-month trial that was scheduled to begin in May. The city had already spent millions settling lawsuits from those who were injured, killed, or financially damaged. Millions have also gone to business owners who had businesses damaged from the Chaz, which, yeah, you should pay those businesses because you allowed this to happen.
Right.
And
But
their
why didn't they sue
livelihoods were
Chaz?
destroyed. They should have. It was an independent
That's what I'm
sovereign
saying.
nation. Should have sued them.
It's a stupid.
You want number 3?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Kari Lake forces Arizona the GOP chairman out. I can't even talk right now. For crying out loud.
either.
She recorded him trying to coax her into taking a bribe to stay out of the Senate race. If you guys haven't heard that recording, you should hear it. It's kind of crazy.
No.
I mean, it was like, we're not trying. Well, we're just.
There's
kinda,
powerful people who just don't want you to run, and they'll give you lots of money. Is this a bribe? Well, I
Yep.
mean, what's the definition of bribe?
What does that really mean?
What is it?
If
What's
you
the meaning
accept
of
it, is it a
is?
bribe? So he says he wasn't going to resign, but then he did. He claims her team called him and threatened him with releasing more damaging recordings if he didn't, and Lake's team denies this happened. But the man resigned, did he not?
Yes, he
Of course
did.
he did, because he got boosted. So when you get boosted, right, for some reason they can just get fired, but literally bribery, isn't that a crime?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Bribing public officials.
so let's just get this right. Bribing public officials, you just get resigned. You can go destroy buildings and protest and block people's streets, and you get to sue the city and win money. But to go pray, sing hymns, and try to encourage women to not kill their babies.
11 years, $250,000 fine. Makes perfect sense.
We got a lot of praying to do, folks.
Yeah, we do.
A lot of praying, especially for those families. And that's our job. That's our job right now, is to flip this. Woe unto them who call evil good and good evil. We all know the scriptures. And so we're not allowing that to happen. We're not letting evil be called good here. We're going to keep exposing it, just like most pundits should. And we need to keep praying for them. So, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes you've got to expose things. And sometimes you don't want things exposed, like maybe faulty wire or electricity. But we've got the solution.
Nice.
You like that one?
Nice. He's taking over.
Energy Ops LLC. I bet Mike gets such a kick out of those. Energy Ops LLC, energyops.us. If you don't know it by now, you need to know it. Guess what? South Carolina, Charleston area, you have your electrician.
We can't talk. Yo, we cannot talk right
we
now.
can't. And, we're recording this evening, so you're actually going to watch it tomorrow.
Yeah, we had a
because
lot of
we had
talk.
stuff going on.
I think it's
and-
because our brains are fried from talking all day.
Dude, I got home. I was fried. And, of course, the kids were like, blah, 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 blah. Melissa's like, what's wrong with you? I've only been spending all day mentally exhausted. It's fine. Let me just throw on the other hat. And then I got to walk out the door in an hour and a half. Anyways, Energy Ops LLC, residential, commercial. Exactly. Thank you. They're awesome. Faith-filled, small business, family-owned, veteran, great people. You can call them at 843-263-1724 or go ahead and visit them online at energyops.us. What? Anyways, all right. We're moving up. We're moving up to the battle on the border. I don't know which one you're laughing at.
Flown the big finger. That's their new state flag instead of the star.
They just replace it with a middle finger.
Should have put that up, man. That would be funny.
Oh, that would be good. All right, we'll tell you what he was laughing at in a second. Did you ever wonder what it would be like to watch the Civil War kick off? We may be watching those. We might be watching.
We
this.
Just might, boys.
What
and
happened?
Girls.
Texas has now flown a big middle finger flag to not only the Biden administration but the Supreme Court.
You imagine changing the star into a giant middle finger?
Abbott, if you're listening, do it for everyone.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. We salute you. So a few days ago,
Jeepers.
Supreme Court ruled that the Biden administration could remove miles of razor wire as Texas and Biden administration fight out in lower courts. Supreme Court ruled with a 5-4, Roberts and Coney Barrett, traitors, jumping the ideological line in removing an injunction from a lower court. The injunction blocked the government from cutting the razor wire unless there was an emergency. Which, let's stop right there for a second. The government's argument in this case, if I'm not mistaken, was that it was creating, what was it, a danger for people and hindering people. My question is, was the razor wire on federal land or on state land? And I don't know this answer. Because if it's on state land, how can you possibly determine that Texas must allow the government to cut the razor wire? This is insane.
It is insanity, bro. It's like their main job is to protect the general welfare of the states.
Ooh, general welfare clause. That one always comes into play.
That's
with
what
the
general
left.
welfare means, the protection of the states.
Why isn't the left using that one right
That's
now?
exactly right. It's actually comes from the Articles of Confederation. That's what they were talking about. In protecting the states, it was states protection against foreign invaders, even against themselves. The states attacking other states. It was like a kind of a quash, right? So then we have a foreign. I guess invasion would be the word.
It's an invasion,
right? And here they're fighting to keep the borders open. And you're right. If we've never seen a civil war, I think this is brewing for it right now. He said that the authority is a supreme law of the land and supersedes any federal statutes. To the contrary, the Texas National Guard, the Texas Department of Public Safety, and other Texas personnel are acting on that authority as well as state law to secure the Texas border. He is now, Governor Abbott, right, is now mobilizing the Texas National Guard to protect the Texas border. In his letter, he states that the framers included both Article 4, Section 4, which promises that the federal government shall protect each state against invasion. And Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, which acknowledges the state's sovereign interest in protecting their borders. Because Biden failed to uphold Article 4, Section 4, Abbott argues that Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3 can be enacted. Abbott officially called it an invasion and has begun full force protecting the border, and Border Patrol has now been kept out of the Eagle Pass area and not allowed to access it.
Good.
That's crazy, bro.
It's time for Texas to stand up, and we'll get more into this because it gets more significant than just this, right? So other states have come out. We'll read some of their statements in a second. But I want Massey and I to kind of camp on this for a second, because if you think back to the Civil War, a lot of people don't realize how the Civil War really got started, right? The North moved federal troops and attempted to take over a fort.
Yep.
So it was the movement of federal troops to try and get a state to fall in line with what the federal government wanted. And the state said no. We're at that precipice right now of it's the federal government's play. If they use any type of force, and I'm not trying to be prophetic on this, but 98% chance you see some type of civil war break out, right? People think the original Civil War was the South and the North looked at each other and said, fine, we're going to fight. No, it was a movement of federal troops trying to seize something that the state finally said, no, I'm done. What we're looking at with this is you've got the state who says, we're going to do this. We're going to stop this invasion. We're going to protect our borders, and we're not going to let federal agents anywhere near it.
Right.
We're not going to allow the federal agents to screw this up. We're going to stop them. So the government, the federal government, has a decision to make. They either back down and look weak, right? And they whinge and moan and, try to do lawsuits and all that. Or they try to move with force. And if you move with force at all and somebody pulls a trigger somewhere, you could easily see a war kick off. And it's crazy to me to think that
we'd even be talking about this right now, yeah.
Right. Because some people think, oh, well, they'll trade bullets and then they'll be done. I'm not so sure. Because if the federal government goes that far, then they have to finish the job.
That's right.
And now you're fighting the federal government with whatever forces they use in a state's National Guard. And other states have, and we'll read those comments in a second, other states have basically pledged, we're behind you, we're with you, whatever you need. You're seeing a confederation of states start to come together because they're pointing the finger at the federal government going, you have tried to burn this country down for too long, and we're not going to take it anymore.
That's right. And I think that's important to note, is that the states are now saying we're going to stand up on our own, which is literally the revolution. This is what we're talking about. This is exactly the revolution all over again when the federal government's now attacking their own states. And what I mean by attack is let them loose. You know what I mean? Even when Lord Cornwallis and all these guys were in our territory back in the 1700s, the king would just enact laws and they would be like, okay, that's what the king said. That's what we're going to do. You know what I mean? It was imposed and it was said to. And there were standing armies in the streets as well.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the founders are like, this is not liberty, bro. So then they try to petition the king and saying, look, we have natural rights. According to English common law, according to God, we have rights. And then they're like, well, yeah, we don't really care about that. We're just going to keep doing what we're doing. As a matter of fact, they were ignored. And then all of a sudden the king says, you all are insurrectionists. And you know what? You're all going to be hung for treason. And then they're like, you know what? We're going to die anyways. Let's go get them. Let's go do our thing. So what's crazy is now the federal government is attacking its own state.
Yes.
Even for the state to have to say, we're going to do this without your permission to protect their state is asinine to me.
Let's put this in grand picture. You have a federal government looking at a state saying, I care more about the masses of people coming across your border illegally than I do about you. I don't care how you look at it. It doesn't matter what leftist sentimentality you have on this. The fact is, when you look at it objectively, the government is flat out telling Texas, I don't care how you feel about this. We want those hundreds of thousands of people every month to be crossing your border.
Right.
And we're going to set them loose. Well, no, they're giving them court cases. Man, most of these people's court cases won't happen for years. And what are you doing to actually keep track of this? Oh, no, they're fine. We're going to give them money and phones and all of that. Oh, that's great. So then you whinge and complain when we bus them or air them out to Chicago or New York, right? And those cities, those mayors, those Democrat mayors are going, what is going on here? We're about to collapse because of this. But all hail Biden, right?
That's right. Matter of fact, why aren't they being shipped to DC?
I've kind of wondered that of why aren't we shipping them, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue? Just
right to his
throw 'em
backyard.
Right, yeah.
Right to his backyard.
Throw them right there. If thousands were camping out right in front of the White House. Like,
what would happen?
how do you miss that?
What would happen? Then it would take a Chinese communist dictator to come to our capital, and then it would get cleaned up
we'll all
magically
clean
within
it
a
up.
day. I think, too, like, there's all these scriptures that people talk about. Jeremiah 22, it says, "Thus says the Lord, do justice and righteousness and deliver from the hand of the oppressor him who has been robbed, and do no wrong or violence to the resident, alien, and the fatherless and the widow, nor shed innocent blood in this place." I think the difference is we're not doing harm to those if we're saying go back to your country or do it legally. We're not doing harm to them. We're not, like, not feeding them. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, there's, like, camps down there helping these people who are crossing the border.
Yeah, dude.
Here, when they get into the country, they automatically get, some of them get driver's license, they get cell phones. They, I mean,
they hotel rooms
stipends.
and they're living well.
Right. In these situations, this isn't republics yet. These are monarchies. We're a nation of laws. We're not a nation of one man. So one dude who just says, we're just going to open the borders, you're violating the oath of the states that came into union with the country to protect. Now, back in the day, people are right. Ellis Island, did it really have these kind of restrictions? No, I don't think they had the restrictions we have now, but we were checking people in. Who are these people? What's your name? What's your occupation? All these other things. Why? Because we wanted to know who these people were. Back in the day, we didn't have technology and all these other things. Nowadays, it says protect the fatherless and the widow and the stranger, right? Where's all the fatherless and the widows in this?
Right.
There's a lot of men, grown men there.
Yeah.
And it's like, and I looked up the word refugee just because it's like escapees from those who are under political corruption. What countries are these people coming from?
All of them. And that's so with what is it?
When are we going to become refugees? We have political corruption right now. Is Canada going to take me?
If all of these people are leaving Ecuador and Honduras, I guess that's our place to go.
What dictates political corruption?
So, well, and that's the thing is, not only is it, okay, this is pretty subjective of what you would consider a refugee, right? But if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, international law says a refugee is supposed to go to the nearest country that is considered safe haven, right? So Mexico is really the only one that should be able to claim refugee status. Now, that whole status is iffy anyways. But somebody coming from China or somebody coming from Northern Africa,
Ecuador
or Honduras, you've got a couple of countries you could stop
You're hopping.
at.
Yeah, you're hopping.
You're not a refugee, you're a migrant. And one of the things that people skip over in the Old Testament, there were laws that if you broke, A, you could be stoned to death.
Yep.
Or B, cast out from the people. That was basically a death sentence. If you got cast out from the people, where are you going? What are you doing, right? So we can't even use this argument of, well, the Bible, they let them all in until you broke a law. Guess what people are doing right now?
Breaking
a law.
Legit, dude.
They
That's
are
a great
breaking
point, Mike.
a
Way to
law
go.
right away. And you're saying, well, their first act in this nation was breaking a law.
Being deceitful.
Right. What's your issue of going through it the proper way? What's your issue?
Yeah.
You're lazy. You don't care. You see all the handouts. The people who do it properly probably don't get any of the stuff all of these people get. 250 to 300,000 people a month.
Dude.
It's over 6 million. It's probably close to 7 million at this point. People. This is insane. And the problem is so many people are, oh, well, whatever is not. And conservatives are getting mad, but a lot of them don't realize what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
They think, oh, well, Biden's just trying to destroy the nation. True. But this is a really good ploy. And your hero, Ronald Reagan, was one of the ones who kind of opened the door to all of this. Amnesty. Now, that's one aspect. So a couple of years, all these people are, well, we got to do something about it. Well, let's just give them amnesty. Now, let's say they don't go the amnesty route. It doesn't even really matter if they do or not. Why? Because the House seating, how many House seats a state gets is based on the census. The census is not based on citizens. It's based on pure population. So some of you may remember Trump had actually brought up changing the census to only count citizens, and the Democrats went wild. No, we can't do it. Don't do that. Why? Because they're letting in millions upon millions of illegal immigrants who they hand them $5,000, hand them a hotel room, hand them a cell phone. Who do you think they're going to vote for in 6-8 years? When we do the census and the census changes,
good, dude.
and
right.
all these people, especially in Texas, which is a red holdout, they tried to do it in Florida, which is a red holdout right now, and all of a sudden you start shifting that population to where all of a sudden the House seats change.
Wow. I never even thought of that until you said it.
Especially if you go to blue states and all of a sudden a blue state gains 2, 3, 4
But
seats.
here's what's crazy. All these folks are the ones that are calling America terrible and that we're such a crappy nation and other European countries are better than us and blah, blah, blah. And you want them to come here to this crappy nation who you say has a terrible history and is racist, and now you want all these foreigners to come in to a racist country because we're so terrible, right? And we don't protect our own, and we have the worst financial system ever because we're all capitalists. And you know why they're coming here? So that they can be capitalists too, to make money.
That is like the number one reason they're coming in.
I mean, I'm just saying. I just want to talk about how many states are joining into this. Florida's joining into this. DeSantis wrote, if the Constitution really made states powerless to defend themselves against an invasion, it wouldn't have been ratified in the first place, and Texas would have never joined the Union when it did. Texas is upholding the law while Biden is flouting it. Florida will keep assisting Texas with personnel and assets.
An hour after Abbott shared the statement, Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt said, Oklahoma stands with Texas. An hour after Abbott came out.
Jeez, dude. Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin said, Virginia stands with Texas. Abbott is doing the job Joe Biden and his borders are refused to do is secure the border. The Biden administration has turned every state into a border state. We must stop the flow of fentanyl, save lives, secure our southern border.
Georgia Governor Brian Kemp said, enough is enough. Our southern border is in crisis thanks to the Biden administration's refusal to do their job. Abbott and the state of Texas have our full support.
Wow. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem said that Abbott is exactly right to invoke Texas constitutional authority to defend itself. The Biden administration has created a national security crisis and put Americans in danger. Their failure is an unconstitutional dereliction of duty. South Dakota has been proud to help Governor Abbott's efforts to secure our border.
Alabama Governor Kay Ivey said, Texas and the states have stepped up time and time again. The White House purposely absent. I have had enough. Texas, you can count on Alabama to have your back.
Dang.
Dude, this
Others,
is serious,
such
man.
as Montana Governor Jan Fort, said in a tweet that Abbott is doing what the President of the United States won't by refusing to act. President Biden is inviting cartels, illegal drugs, and human trafficking in the United States. We must secure the southern border.
Utah Governor Spencer Cox said, the border is a disaster that continues to spiral out of control, both in terms of people and deadly fentanyl traffic. This is not a partisan issue. This is a national security issue. This is a common sense issue. This is an American issue. Utah thanks Texas and Governor Abbott for stepping up where the Biden administration has failed over and over again.
That's right. Other states like Tennessee, Idaho, Nebraska, and Mississippi have not commented but committed troops, agents, and vehicles and other resources to Texas in the past couple of years.
House Speaker Mike Johnson said, I stand with Governor Abbott. The House will do everything in its power to back him up. The next step, holding Secretary Mayorkas accountable.
Chip Roy also voiced full support for Texas to do what is necessary.
I want to talk about the House for a second.
Let's do it.
Mike Johnson, tepid. That's soft in my view. If you really believe this is a watershed moment, you should be throwing all of your weight into this.
Yep.
I don't want impeachment articles of the president. Why? Because it's so overdone. It's going to happen every single term, right? But at some point, don't you throw down the gauntlet and say, this is too far, not just, we're going to get Mayorkas. No, you go for everybody. You scorched earth on this.
It's totally. And I do think that the impeachment would work in this case, that President Biden and his executive team are not upholding the Constitution in this. That is a dereliction of duty.
Right.
I mean, you are literally turning your back on your country. That's what you're doing, essentially.
If the House had balls, it's a family podcast, right? If the House really had it in them,
if they had cojones,
they would hold this budget that's coming up.
Oh my gosh,
over Biden's head.
60 million more to Ukraine.
Not another dollar spent until you fix the border. Oh, that's all right. People are gonna hate you. Fine, let them hate me. Not another dollar spent, so that way you can't use a dollar against your own states. But they won't do it.
No,
they won't do it.
They're weak.
They'll pass the $60 billion to Ukraine or whatever it is.
Yeah, 40 or
they'll
60.
throw more money at Israel. They'll throw money everywhere. They'll pay all their pet projects, and then the Republicans will pat themselves on the back, going, "Yeah, but they told us we could have something next year."
We compromised. We made a deal.
Yeah,
Your deals, you always lose.
we totally won, right, guys?
We won the fact that they let us
We got
sign
we got to put our name on it.
paper.
Yeah, we got to say we
mean-
were part of it.
I mean,
Yeah. Chuck Schumer said it was a good idea.
he's a good guy.
Yeah. He's been in government a long time. He knows what he's doing. It's
Just like Biden. I mean, and everything.
Yeah.
Wait, I mean, like Hillary. Well, I mean, like Nancy. I mean, like, what's his name? The guy from Kentucky, old fella.
Oh, McConnell.
McConnell.
He's great. He's been in a long time. They all know what they're doing. I mean, look.
Look at the state of our country.
Yeah, the fruit is there, bro.
I mean,
This is insane.
I know, dude. This
Like,
is bonkers.
I include the Johnson quote because I'm sure there will be a lot of Republicans who are like, yeah, the House is with us. The House is not with you.
they haven't
They're not
pledged
with you.
anything.
No.
They said something, but they ain't pledged
Yeah,
nothing yet.
yeah. He came out and he was like, oh, yeah, we totally hate this administration. We're totally with you, Texas. We're going after Mayorkas. That's in chess. That is celebrating over killing a pawn. That's all it is. Yeah, we got
That's
his
good.
pawn.
That's good.
You suck. You suck. It's like,
And you know,
this.
You're getting hot because it's like we get behind these guys and we watch them and do the profession of faith and all that other stuff. But it's like literally when it comes on to brass tacks, the Democrats always get what they want. Always. There's not one time that they've said, we lost that battle.
Right. And
Never.
And when the heat gets turned on because the budget, the federal government got shut down and the media is complaining, the Republicans wait and they wait and they wait. And everybody's looking at them going, well, when are they going to fold? They're going to fold.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a matter of time.
They're like a crappy hand in blackjack.
Yeah. At some point, you're looking at the guy going,
You're trying to bluff, but
Yeah.
you ain't.
you got a 2 and a 7, and everybody around the table knows it. And they're just like,
Yeah.
We'll
and you've
wait
got
him
a
out.
stupid tell. You've got like this tell that's like, I do have a 2 and a
Yeah.
7. And you're like, my eyes say royal flush. You know what I mean?
You got the cards, and you go, crap. Check. You suck. Like, I'm so tired of this.
I think the tell is they go, we're going to stand up against you now. And every Democrat's like, who?
Oh, I'm so scared. We'll get 60 billion more for Ukraine.
Yeah.
Boy, that's tough.
Yeah. And
I
they'll get
wanted 80, but
some other subsidies that happened as well. that
yeah.
Obviously,
Finally get that transvestite lesbian basket weaving in Pakistan. We
Lord
always wanted.
forbid that we protect our states. God forbid, bro, we start investing actually, which we shouldn't really, to me, invest in the states. That should be a states issue.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like all this stuff that we depend on the federal government for. That's why we're in this mess in the first place. Now, it's easy for me to say. I'm not there right now, but the problem is like we inherited this. So now it's like, how do we turn the ship around, Lord? Well, I'll go back to its law. Sometimes we may like, and this is where it's like tough because do we secede from the union? Because now we're susceptible to attack if we secede from the union because we're inside the
Right.
territories. However, you got states with their governors going, we'll protect you. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I think they're trying to create, they really are. And you know what's crazy? This isn't just the North and the South now. It's blotches of states that are like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not one.
It's not a
unified,
divide, yeah.
And that's something that does concern me about this whole situation. Let's war game for a second. Let's say it does turn into a civil war. You've got Kristi Noem up in South Dakota right? There's no connection between her and Texas and Alabama and Georgia and Florida, right? At least Texas and Alabama and Georgia and Florida, man, they've got some location. You got Louisiana and Mississippi in there who most likely, if the push came to shove,
every redneck there would take their shotguns out and rock and roll, baby.
You would, it would be one solid line, right? But then you've got like a Montana and a South Dakota, a Utah. I feel bad for those states because it's like if this kicks off, man, they're all on their lonesome.
Yeah, South Dakota. What is their population? 20,000. You know what I mean? Like
right.
I mean, what do they have?
What are you going to do with your 500 National Guard guys?
Sorry,
I'm sorry. I don't mean that as an insult to South Dakota.
It's not an insult to Christie or South Dakota. It's a this is
real.
It's tricky. It's tricky to see what's going on now. What about them Dems, the Democrats, the Demorats? Some Dems are arguing that Biden should seize control of the Texas National Guard as if he's the king.
Boy, that'll de-escalate everything.
Texas Representative Joaquin Castro called for Biden to establish sole federal control. They're calling for martial freaking law.
Yeah.
They don't even know what they're doing. That's how duped they are. Martial law.
Yeah. No, this will work out well. The same people who absolutely got horrified at the thought of Trump activating the National Guard. And now you're going to, well, the president should control the National Guard. Besides the fact that Texas National Guard is made up of a bunch of what? Texas boys. You think they're listening to DC? No, it doesn't matter.
Texas Representative Greg Cesar also called for Biden to seize control of the Texas Bordo Beto skateboard O'Rourke. Whatever. Failed, man. Here.
Failed politician.
Also joined the call for Texas Guard to be seized by Biden. The Biden DHS is demanding federal agents access to the border following the Supreme Court decision. DHS says they haven't had access since January 10th when Abbott seized Eagle Pass city land. In response to those like Castro and Caesar, people are rightly pointing out. So you want to start a civil war over this? Because that might happen. And we're talking about this because it's heavy. I mean, really, this is all constitutional. Abbott was right. The federal government has that duty. And this is where the federal government was important. It was solely for the protection of liberty.
Mm-hmm.
So we wouldn't be invaded. So we could actually live in peace. How the frick you living in peace with people who don't even speak your language?
Right.
Number one. Number two, you don't know their motives. They come from political unrest. They're refugees. Well, what made them come? Why didn't they? Who are they? Are they spies? Spies still exist, people. I mean, this is where it's like you got to start thinking as a nation. Church, accept the stranger. Go do your job. The nation, different.
Totally different.
Different. It's a different set of jurisdiction. The church has to do what it does. That's why it's like, I know I get in trouble for this, but the church should be protecting Israel. Federal government.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? People will argue separation of church and state. Church, don't get involved. Don't get involved. Don't get involved. So now we're saying, you and I especially are saying, yeah, the laws are not the church's laws. The laws are to protect the sovereignty of the nation.
Right.
Yeah, well, the church should get involved in this. So you didn't want them involved.
That's exactly right, dude. They don't have a problem with Catholic Charities is busting in freaking immigrants from all over the world.
Oh, heck no.
They have no problem Catholic Charities getting involved in government work there.
Yeah.
But the moment the church steps up and actually goes and protests a freaking abortion clinic, they're in threat for what, 10 years, 11 years, whatever that was?
Wrong think.
This is where it's at. This is truth. As long as you're woke and as long as you're free to be a part of sin, if you will, you're good with the government. You're good with the populace. You're good with the media. The moment you have an opinion and say, no, stop this for a minute. Let's work on this. Let's try to get a system that works, right? So we can get people in here to do it lawfully. I'm not the one judging the intent of the heart here. They already did by saying they're good. They can just come in. You've already judged the intent. How do you know that?
Right.
I'm supposed to be prudent. I'm supposed to be protecting my home. What if those people break into my house?
And let's think about this here. If tens of thousands of people are coming at once in massive migrant caravans, somewhere along the way, they have gotten the idea that they can just waltz across the border and they'll be taken care of.
Someone told them to do it.
Somebody told them to do it. Somebody said, go ahead, pack up your backpack, pack up your kid or whatever. Come on up, hundreds of miles of walking, and you'll be able to cross right over, and you'll get a cell phone, and you'll get thousands of dollars, and you'll get a hotel room, and we'll take care of you. It's insane. The fact they're coming by the tens of thousands says you have already represented yourself as a failure in protecting your sovereign nation. You are weak.
Weak border.
Or you're evil and malicious and doing it on purpose.
Or C, all of the above. You're weak and you want this to happen. Because Biden is not doing this.
He even said
Biden is not running this country.
Because
there's no way.
He's out to lunch, and it's kind of like his brain is so far gone, he just tells the truth now. And he was an oppressor, and he's like, yeah, the border's not secure. Oh, well, thank you for your moment of enlightenment.
Thanks.
Oh, man, I'm not going to go there. No.
You should have.
You know those moments right before somebody dies and they get really like clear-minded and sober? Is it one of those?
Dude, everybody's predicted it. You know, Kamala Harris being the president and things like that. People have been saying it. Sorry.
Almost.
People have predicted this for a minute, you know. And look, all we know is this. I think you're exactly right. This is exactly for census.
Yeah.
All this is an invasion for us to lose votes.
Yep.
On any election. As a matter of fact, illegals should not vote in our elections anyway. So that should even have been a no-brainer that Trump would have passed that it should be a citizen counted for the census. I'm sorry, because they can't vote anyways.
Right. Except now you've got states like California and New York. Wow, you and I cannot talk today.
My son just said,
what did he say?
His dementia kicked in and he forgot he had dementia. Hey, man, I got that thing.
That stuff, that one thing. I'm really just lying to you the whole time. What's it called?
Anyway.
America can be summed up in a single word. He did another one recently. He did.
I'm sure he did. A gaffe.
Yeah. Anyways. I think you heard our opinion on it.
Yeah,
a lot
totally.
of you probably ain't going to like it. Whatever.
But it's fine. Like and subscribe to this podcast. If you hate it, subscribe anyways. We love getting your feedback.
So you can press the dislike.
Especially all the trolls. You know, the ones that have these like one-line
really
zippers.
Kicking up.
It's like, really? Like, that's really where we're going to go? All right, let's have some fun. So you guys make the channel run, so we love you.
I have noticed that race is a hot topic on YouTube. I didn't know. I don't know if you guys knew, but race is a hot. As soon as we come out with anything talking about race, people come out of the woodwork
to talk about race.
Because it's all about race.
It's the race trolls.
They're the best.
Yeah, they're keeping the glue of this country in the glue can,
sniffing the
glue
of the country,
and joining Chaz. Anyways, guys, theselfevidenttruth.com. You want to be a part of what we're doing here. We are doing so much this year. We got a lot of events coming up. As a matter of fact, I think we're going to Nevada in February, which is exciting. We'll be gone for about a week, maybe, which is great. And we also have some really cool events coming up as well. You want to be a part of our newsletter, so you can sign up on theselfevidenttruth.com. You can sign up by email, which is exciting. Again, be a partner. You can text to give. Text to give. My son is on the nut. Text to give.
Do we have a phone number for that?
It is. It's right on the. It's on the screen
for the audio listeners.
Oh, what's the number, buddy? You got to tell me louder, kiddo.
Yeah, speak up. 772.
Turn on your microphone. Then you can say
just read it.
Text what? Text what?
772-242-0299.
So text what? What does it say to text?
772.
No, text what to that number?
Oh, give. Text
give to 772
242-0299.
Atta kid. Thank you so much.
There we go. So, do it. Give. Help this deep investigative commentary on the insanity of the world.
We love you guys. We will see you